here from the Blank Park Zoo. Who can raise your hand? How many of you guys have been to the zoo before? Good, I love to see lots of hands up. We had some really exciting things happen at the zoo this year. Just this October, right around Halloween, we had a new baby rhino who was born at the zoo. Her name is Tumani, and she already weighs over 700 pounds. So she's growing really fast. She gains about 20 pounds every week, so she's eating a lot of food. In December, around Christmas time, we had a new baby giraffe who was born. Lizzie is 7 feet tall already. So she's gotten really tall really fast, but her dad is 17 feet tall. So she has a lot of growing left to do. This spring we had lots of babies. We had baby camels, we had baby addax, we had baby elands, all different types of antelopes. And then just this summer, just a few weeks ago, we had a new baby monkey who was born at the zoo. She is very cute. When she was born, she weighed only about a pound, and she loves to go outside and watch all of her mom, her aunts, her uncles, and all of her brothers and sisters play. So we're hoping that she grows really fast so she can get out and play with all of them. Now the animals I brought today are a little bit different from those animals. Those animals stay at the zoo all the time where they're nice and happy. These animals that I brought today are really, really good workers, though. These guys are called our education animals. And our education animals have worked really hard to learn that they're nice and safe, even when they're up in front of a really big crowd like today. Now, even so, we do have a couple of rules we have to remember before we can meet my animals. Rule number 1 is we need to make sure we keep our voices off. And if we can, we want to stay sitting on our bottom so we don't scare the animals. I'll make sure to walk around so everybody can see them up close. We will get a chance to feel one of these animals. When we feel one of our animals, we're going to use 2 fingers. Boys and girls, can I see your 2 fingers? We're going to use 2 fingers, and we're only going to touch her on her back. It makes animals nervous if we touch them on their belly or near their face or by their hands, so we only touch them on their back. Does that sound good to you guys? Yeah. All right. Now, I'm going to bring out my animals. I'll talk about them for a little bit, introduce them to you, and then we're going to have a chance for some questions. So make sure that you guys are thinking about some good questions, some things you want to know about the animals, and we'll raise our hands and we'll ask those questions after I'm all done talking. Does that sound good to you guys? Yeah. Are you guys ready to meet my first animal? Yeah. Okay. My first animal is very, very cute, and I love her a lot, but sometimes people don't like animals like her very much. Hi, baby. Boys and girls, this is Louise. Can you guys say hi to Louise? Hi. Louise is a fancy rat. Now, a fancy rat are really special types of rats. They're what we call domesticated. Boys and girls, can you say domesticated? Domesticated. Domesticated. Domesticated animals don't live out in the wild by themselves. They only like to live with people. And so as a fancy rat, she loves being around people, and Louise loves people so much. Louise loves being around us, and she loves playing with us. Rats are really, really smart animals. So Louise loves to come running right on up towards us. And just like you guys might teach your dog or your cat some tricks, Louise actually knows lots and lots of tricks. At the zoo, we were able to teach her that when we tell her to, she goes right into her crate so she's ready to travel. She even knows her own name and can respond to it. So she's a really smart rat. Some rats will learn all different types of things. Some people even teach their pet rats how to fetch and how to play just like a dog would. So she's really, really clever. She loves checking everything out. Louise loves to play with her sister Thelma. Her sister Thelma is her best friend, and they love to spend time together. Just the other day, Louise actually had to go to the vet right down the hall, and she was so sad because she missed her sister that we brought Thelma along with her just so they could be together. They love spending time together. Now, boys and girls, Louise is what we call an omnivore. Can you guys say omnivore? Omnivore, that's right. An omnivore is an animal that's going to eat both meat and then different types of plants too. So lots of animals are omnivores. We're omnivores, and so we can eat all different types of things, and Louise loves all different types of food. She eats lots and lots of different things, and she can get into just about anything. But today for breakfast, she had some mango, and she really loves her mango. She gets lots of fruit at the zoo, and that's some of her favorite treats to have. Now, rats are really special animals. They're one of the only animals that you can find everywhere in the world. We can find them on all 7 continents. There's only one other animal who gets on all 7 continents, and you know what animal that is? That's us. We're the only other animal that's gone all over the world, and rats have followed us the whole way there. Rats originally came from Asia, but they actually came across the ocean with us when we came to America. They came on great big boats just alongside us, and that's because we have lots and lots of food for them to go after. Now, when they were climbing onto those boats, they'd have to climb along really long ropes, and they need a good way to keep themselves nice and balanced when they climb. So when we climb and we walk across the balance beam, we stick our arms out to the side to keep us balanced. But Louise here can't stick her arms out to her side because she needs all 4 of her arms to be able to walk. So instead, she has that really long tail. Do you guys see her long tail? Yeah. She has that long tail, so she stays really balanced when she's climbing and walking all over things. That tail also helps her to keep really cool. Onto her back, she has all of that fur, and that fur keeps her nice and warm in the wintertime. But in the summer, she can get hot under all that fur. So she has this special tail down here, and that tail doesn't have much fur on it, and that makes it really nice as a good way to cool off. It's like putting on shorts during the summertime instead of wearing pants, and so that's why she has that long, cool tail. All right, boys and girls, who can raise their hand if you have any questions about Louise? Is there anything else you want to know about her? Do you have a question about Louise?
Hey boys and girls, can you guys make sure you have your voices turned off so that we can hear the questions that are being asked, okay?
That's right. Rats love to play with people. They love to play in all different sorts of ways. One of her favorite things to do is to climb all over us. She loves climbing right on up onto our legs, and sometimes if we sit down, she climbs right on up into our lap. When she does that, one of her favorite things to do is just to sit in our lap, and then she'll give herself a little bit of a bath. She's really, really clean. She loves to keep herself nice and tidy, and sometimes when she's giving herself a bath and licking herself all over, she'll even start giving us a bath too. So then she'll clean all up my arms too to keep me nice and clean. Do you have a question? Is there something you want to know about her? How long do they live? Rats don't live for too long of a time. They grow up really fast, but she'll live to be about 3 or 4 years old. What's your question? How old is Louise? Louise and her sister are both 2 years old already. What's your question?
I like to know, why is her hair super long?
Why is her hair super long? Her tail? Yeah, her tail's super long because that helps her to stay really balanced. So that helps her when she's walking across all different types of things to keep it really well balanced. Yeah, she loves to climb all over us. Did you have a question, bud?
Why are rats so cute?
Why are they so cute? I don't know why rats are so cute, but I love them a lot. Thelma and her sister and Louise, both of them are 2 of my favorite animals at the zoo. All right, boys and girls, Louise has done a good job. Can you guys say thank you to Louise? All right, boys and girls. My first animal was a mammal, so she had lots of fur. My second animal is a reptile, so he has scales instead. Boys and girls, make sure we're keeping our voices off. We don't want to scare him. Boys and girls, this is Beaker. Can you guys say hi to Beaker? Beaker is called a bearded dragon. Now, that is a pretty tough name for a lizard who's not quite as big as a dragon would be, but he's called that because he has some things that make him look really, really tough. Do you see right here underneath Beaker's chin? That is his beard down there. And if Beaker got really scared by something, Beaker would puff up that beard really, really big, which would make him look really tough. Now on the sides of Beaker, you can see he's got some spines down here. Those spines make him look tough, but those spines actually aren't very hard or very sharp, and so they just make him seem a lot tougher than he is. That's really important because out in the wild, he would have a lot of predators to watch out for. He'd have to watch out for a lot of different dangerous animals. Luckily at the zoo, he doesn't have any predators to worry about because the zookeepers take really good care of him. Just like Louise, Beaker here is an omnivore. So he eats both plants and different types of meat. His favorite type of meat to eat is crickets. Do you guys like to eat crickets? No. That'd be pretty gross, but Beaker loves eating crickets. They're one of his favorite treats, and he loves to be able to run around and chase down all of those crickets every day. But his favorite kind of food is vegetables. He eats lots and lots of lettuce and lots of apples and other types of fruit too. He eats a whole lot of different things, and that makes him really happy. Now, out in the wild, we'd find Beaker out in Australia, and he'd live down in the sand. And so that's one of the reasons he has this color on him. This is called his camouflage. Boys and girls, can you say camouflage? Camouflage. Camouflage, that's right. Camouflage is when animals have different colors or different spots that help them blend into their environment and stay nice and safe. So on Beaker's back, you can see he has all different colors of yellow and some brown and some black, and that would help him blend in with the sand. That keeps him really, really safe down in the sand. And you can even see right on his sides of his face, he has some orange colors there. Those orange colors are actually how he talks. So when Beaker wants to say something to another bearded dragon, he kind of changes what color he is. So sometimes he gets a little bit darker on his back, and sometimes his cheeks get really bright orange. Another way that he can talk to other bearded dragons is he'll come right on up to them, he'll stand up on his back legs, and you know what he does? He waves to other bearded dragons. He'll just wave hello, and that's how he says hi to bearded dragons and lets them know that they are friends and they don't have to worry about each other. Now, as a reptile, he has all those tough scales on his back to keep him nice and safe. Those work just like armor. Another thing that makes him a reptile is the fact that he's a cold-blooded animal. Can you guys say cold-blooded? Good job. A cold-blooded animal means that their body doesn't keep itself warm like our body does, and then so they need lots of things to keep themselves nice and warm. So instead, they use us to keep them nice and warm. We work really well, and they also use the sun. So Beaker loves to go out into the day, during the day and lie down right in the sun. And he loves to just sprawl out, and sometimes he'll take a good long nap when he goes outside. All right, boys and girls, do you have any questions about Beaker? Is there anything you want to know about him? What's your question? Can Beaker see very well? That's a really good question. Beaker does have some pretty good eyesight. Do you guys see Beaker's eyes? He's got some good eyes that are always looking around. And then you can see right here, right on the side of his head. Do you see that little hole? Do you know what that hole is? Those are his ears. Can you guys feel your ears? Our ears stick out big to the sides of our head. His ears are just little holes right off to the side, and that makes sure that he doesn't get any kind of sand in his ears. That keeps his ears nice and clean when he's out in the wild, out in the sand. Do you have a question? How old is he? Beaker is actually about 6 years old. So he won't get any bigger than this. This is as big as he gets. We actually don't know exactly how old Beaker is because Beaker actually came to us as a rescue animal. So sometimes people want to have lizards as pets, but they can be a lot of work. And Beaker's first owners realized that he was too much work for them to take care of, so they gave him to the Animal Rescue League, which is an animal shelter in Des Moines, and they called us because they saw just how nice of a bearded dragon that Beaker was. What's your question? How many months old is he? I don't know exactly how old he is. That's a good question, though. What's your question, bud? How old do they get? So Beaker could live to be about 12 years old. So he's going to be at the zoo for a long time still. All right, one more question about Beaker. What's your question? What's one of his predators? So out in the wild, he'd have to worry mostly about hawks and eagles and birds that would fly up above him. And so that's why he has those sharp, hard scales to keep him nice and safe. And that's why he has the camouflage to blend right on in. All right, boys and girls, Beaker did a good job. Can you guys say thank you to Beaker? All right, boys and girls, for my next animal, we need to make sure we keep our voices off. We don't want to scare her, and we'll see if she'll come out right by herself. You can hear her chatting quite a bit. Boys and girls, this is Fiona. Can you say hi to Fiona? Fiona is a Rouen duck. Can you guys say Rouen? Rouen. So a Rouen duck means she is a very fancy type of duck. She is a type of duck that comes from France. So since she's such a fancy duck, Fiona knows that she's really fancy. She is quite the princess. Fiona has a really big personality and loves to show off. You can see that as soon as she came out, she showed off those wings of hers to make herself seem nice and big, and she loves when everybody's looking at her. Did you guys hear Fiona talking a little bit before I got up here? Yeah, Fiona loves to talk. She loves hearing her own voice and loves when everybody's looking at her. Fiona also keeps herself really, really clean. She loves to take a good long bath after she's been out, and she also loves jewelry, just like any princess would. You can see I had to take off my name tag and my necklace before I picked up Fiona, and I'm kind of covering up my buttons a little bit. That's because Fiona loves shiny things, and she loves to peck at them, and sometimes she wants to steal those for herself. But Fiona's a really good girl. She loves being around us. One of her favorite things is when we go in to clean her home, we actually just open the door up and let her walk right around with us, and she follows us around the whole time we're cleaning up all the animals in her room. So she loves being around us. Her favorite thing to do is to go swimming. Boys and girls, do you like to go swimming? Yeah? Fiona loves to go swimming, and she has some things that make her really good at swimming. Do you see these big feet she has down here? Those feet have webbing on them, so that helps her to move really fast through the water. Her feathers also help her to swim. So her feathers, those brown ones on her back, are completely waterproof. She'll actually take a little bit of oil and she'll spread that all over her feathers, and so water will roll right off her back. That's important because underneath those brown feathers, she has some white feathers down there. And those white feathers keep her nice and warm. Boys and girls, can we turn our voices off? Boys and girls, can we turn our voices off? Good job. We don't want to scare Fiona. Underneath those brown feathers, she has those white feathers, and those white feathers keep her really warm. It'd be like putting on a sweater underneath your rain jacket. So she stays nice and dry while also floating right up on top of the water. Now, she is also an omnivore. Just like our other two, she eats all different types of plants and some different types of meat too. Her favorite type of meat to eat is bugs and maybe some fish if she can catch them too. But she loves chasing after those. But her favorite food to eat is corn. Fiona loves corn, and it's a really good food for her. That's a really good thing that if you're out looking at some wild ducks, corn is a great treat for them. It's really good for them, and they love the taste of it too. And it's a little bit cheaper than bread. So she loves eating that, and she loves chasing it around in her pool. This morning when I went to go get her to bring her out here today, she was actually sitting in her pool and chasing around some balls that we had put in there because she loves pecking after those and running around and swimming and playing with those too. All right, boys and girls, what kind of questions do you have about Fiona? What are some things you want to know about her? What's your question? What's your question, bud? How long does she live? Fiona will live to be about 15 years old. Right now, she's only about 7, so she's still pretty young. What's your question?
What's that?
That blue feather? Yeah, you might see on the side of her wings, she does have a bright blue feather. That blue feather is what's called her flight feathers. Boys and girls, can you say flight feathers? Flight feathers. If Fiona was a duck who could fly, those are the feathers that would let her fly up in the air. But Fiona, as a Rouen duck, actually can't fly. She's just naturally too heavy to be able to fly on anything. She's got a lot of muscles in her chest and not enough muscles in her shoulders to be able to fly. What's your question? Does she have any teeth? So she has that tough bill instead, and that bill all the way around is nice and hard, so that way she can bite through things, but she doesn't have any teeth in there to bite with. Do you have a question? How old is she? Fiona is only 7 years old. What's your question? Why is she quacking? Fiona loves attention. So when she's quacking, what she means is, can you guys look at me a little bit longer, a little bit more? All right, boys and girls. Do you have another question? Why is she so big? So she's big because that's what she was domesticated for. She was domesticated so she would be a nice big duck and to be really, really friendly too. So she's really, really nice, and that makes her really big too. All right, boys and girls, can you guys say thank you to Fiona? Thank you. All right, boys and girls, we have one last animal to see, and this animal is one of my favorite animals in the whole zoo. I love her a whole lot, but we want to make sure we keep our voices off so we don't scare her, and make sure we stay sitting on our bottoms too. Thank you, guys. Make sure we're keeping our voices off so we don't scare her. Good job, boys and girls. This is Nala. Can you guys say hi to Nala? Hi, Nala. Nala is a ball python. A ball python means she's a pretty big snake, right? Yeah. Nala is a really, really nice snake. Nala has actually worked at the zoo for over 20 years now. She is a really good worker, and she loves coming out and seeing everybody, but we need to make sure we keep our voices off so we don't scare Nala. Good job, guys. Now, you might see Nala sticking her tongue out when she's looking at you guys. When she sticks her tongue out, you know what she's doing? She's smelling, that's right. So we smell when we use our nose. Can you guys point at your nose? So we use our nose when we smell. Nala uses her tongue instead. So when we smell, we bring air in and out of our nose. Instead, she brings her tongue in and out of her mouth. She grabs onto little pieces of things in the air, little air particles, and when she does that, she brings her tongue back into her mouth. She sticks it up against the roof of her mouth, and that's how she smells things. So when she's sticking her tongue out right now, what she's doing is checking out all of you guys and learning if you guys are nice and safe to be around. Nala knows that she's really safe around people, and she loves being around people. When guests come to the zoo and are afraid of snakes, the first snake that we have them meet is Nala, because Nala is so nice. She loves being around people and loves coming out to see people. Just like Beaker, boys and girls, turn our voices off. Just like Beaker, Nala is a cold-blooded animal, and so she needs the sun to keep her nice and warm. But she also loves using us to keep her nice and warm. She loves wrapping around us, and we are a good, warm place for her to hang out. She also loves wrapping around us because out in the wild, Nala would live high up in the trees. She would actually live out in Africa in the same area that lions and cheetahs live. And so she would hide up in the trees to stay nice and safe out there. Now, she has some really good camouflage too. Do you see these dark scales on her back? Those dark scales would help her when she was up in the treetops because they help her blend in with the leaves. But on her belly, she has some different scales. Do you see those light scales down there? Those bright white scales down there are called her scoots. Boys and girls, can you say scoots? Scoots. Those scales are called her scoots because they are really smooth, they're really long, and they help her scoot right along on the ground. And sometimes scientists aren't always very clever. But those white scales down there help keep her safe when she's up in the trees too. If maybe a lion was down below her in the underneath the tree and he looked up and saw her up there, what he would see is those bright white scales, and he would think that was just the sky right through the tree. So that keeps her really safe out in the wild. Now, Nala is not an omnivore like our other animals. She is a carnivore. Boys and girls, can you say carnivore? Carnivore. Carnivore. So a carnivore is an animal that never eats his fruits and veggies. She only eats meat. And her favorite type of meat to eat is mice. Boys and girls, do you like to eat mice? No, that'd be pretty gross. But Nala loves eating her mice. Her teeth are a little bit different from our teeth, so Nala actually can't chew her food. When we eat our food, we chew it up into little pieces before we swallow it, but Nala can't chew up her food, so instead she has to swallow it in one big bite. Now, a mouse is a little bit bigger than Nala's whole head is, so she has to do something really special. When we open up our mouths like this, right, boys and girls? Just like that. When Nala opens up her mouth, she opens up her mouth like this instead. So she has a special thing called a tendon in the back of her mouth. It's like a big rubber band to let her open up her mouth really, really big. And because of that, she can swallow things that are 5 times as big as her head is. If we could do that, we could swallow a watermelon in one bite. So that helps her to be able to swallow all of those different kinds of mice and the other food that she might like to eat. All right, boys and girls, what questions do you have about Nala? What are some things you want to know about her? What's your question? Does she have good eyesight? Nala's eyesight is pretty good, but not quite as good as ours. But she is really good at sniffing things out, and she can even see different kinds of eyesight too. So it's a little bit different from our eyes. Do you have a question, bud? How does she climb trees? That's a good question. So Nala doesn't have arms or legs like us, right? But just like we can climb up a tree and we'd hold on to our moms or dads when they picked us up, she loves to hold on to us. Just because she doesn't have any arms and legs, she uses her whole body instead. So Nala has lots and lots of muscles that she can wrap around and hold on to. So right now she's holding on to me, and that's the same way that she'd hold on to a tree out in the wild. All right, what's your question? Yeah, is there something you want to know about Nala? How old is she? Nala is 23 years old. All right. What's your question? In the striped dress. Yeah, what's your question? What was that? How does she wrap around trees? She uses all of her muscles and she wraps right around those trees. Just like she wraps around us right now, she'd move all the way around and then just slowly wrap on up. Boys and girls, make sure we're keeping our voices down. What's your question? How long is she? She is about 3 to 4 feet long. Sometimes it's really hard to tell how long a snake is because they like to get all wound up together. So instead, what we do is we measure her shed. So about once every month, all of Nala's scales turn kind of a white color. And that's because all of her scales are getting really old and they're all dying off. And that's because she's growing new scales underneath them. So when that happens, that's a really scary time because when all of those scales turn white, even the scale right in front of her eye turns white too. So when Nala is losing her scales, she is actually almost completely blind. So that's really scary for her. So she gets the whole week off. And then one day she'll go into the water and then she'll rub up against some rocks and she'll actually lose those scales all in one big piece. So looks like there's a whole nother snake in her home with her. Now that's one of the ways that we'll measure how long Nala is. We'll be able to tell how long she is by how long her shed is. And so the last time we measured one of her sheds, it was about 3 to 4 feet long. But Nala weighs about 5 pounds. She's a lot heavier than she is long, and that's because she has to have all of those muscles in there. What's your question, bud? Yeah. How fast can they stick their tongue in and out? She sticks her tongue in and out a lot, especially when she has new smells. And so she doesn't do it too quickly because she wants to make sure she gets to smell everything, but she can smell lots of things really fast. All right. What's your question? What do you want to know about Nala?
I want to
How
long does she sleep and stay up?
How long does she sleep and stay up? Nala loves her sleep, especially since she's getting a bit older. She sleeps most of the day because that's her favorite thing to do. But most of the time, she'd sleep about the same amount of time that we do. So she spends just about the same amount of time sleeping and about the same amount of time awake as we do. All right, boys and girls, Nala did a good job. Can you guys say thank you to Nala? Thank you, Nala. Now, boys and girls, we will get a chance to feel Nala. It will be the very last thing we do today. And if you don't want to feel Nala, you never have to touch an animal you don't want to. What we're going to do is we're going to make sure we stay with our grown-ups. We have to be with our grown-ups if we're going to touch an animal. And what we're going to do is as we leave, we'll get a chance to feel her on her back. Now, how many fingers are we going to use when we feel Nala? 2, that's right. And we're just going to touch right down her back. And after we touch our snake, then we're going to get a little bit of hand sanitizer to clean off our hands to make sure we stay nice and neat. All right, boys and girls, if you want to, stick with those parents. Otherwise, thank you guys so much for coming.